The history of Egypt in 10 minutes. Imagine standing in the middle of an endless desert. The wind blows sand over hot stones. The sun burns your skin, and ahead lies a vast river teeming with life. It was here, amidst sand and water, that one of the most enigmatic civilizations in human history was born: ancient Egypt. Today we'll travel a journey spanning several thousand years in just 10 minutes. The birth of civilization. It all began about 5,000 years ago near the Nile River. Without the Nile, Egypt simply wouldn't exist. Every year, the river flooded, leaving behind fertile land. While deserts surrounded it, people grew grain, built houses, and founded the first cities along the banks of the Nile. Gradually, small settlements began to unite. Upper and Lower Egypt fought for a long time until a ruler named Menes united the country. Thus emerged the first pharaoh, and the history of a great empire began. Pharaohs weren't just kings. The Egyptians believed they were living gods on earth. Their word was law, and after death, they were to go to the afterlife and continue their rule there. Pyramids, the greatest construction project of antiquity. When people hear the word Egypt, the first thing that comes to mind is pyramids. And no wonder. Even today, they look as if they were built by some super civilization. The most famous is the Great Pyramid of Giza. Its original height was almost 150 meters. For the ancient world, it was a true engineering marvel. To this day, no one knows for sure how the Egyptians moved enormous stone blocks weighing several tons. Some believe they used gigantic embankments and thousands of workers. Others theorize about forgotten technologies. But one thing is certain: building the pyramids was incredibly difficult work. Thousands of people toiled for years under the scorching sun for one goal: to create the perfect tomb for the pharaoh. Gold, statues, jewelry, and even food were hidden inside the pyramids. The Egyptians believed that after death, a person would need all of this in the next world. The mystery of mummies. To enter the afterlife, the body had to be preserved. This is how mummification came about. Priests removed the internal organs, dried the body with a special salt, and wrapped it in linen bandages. This process took about 70 days. The most macabre thing was that the brain was pulled out through the nose with special hooks. After this, the mummy was placed in a sarcophagus and buried with the treasures. The Egyptians were literally obsessed with death and the afterlife. They believed that real life begins after death. Gods of Egypt. The ancient Egyptians had a huge number of gods. The sun god Ra traveled across the sky every day on his boat. At night, he battled the giant serpent, Apophis, so that the sun would rise again in the morning. The jackal-headed Anuas accompanied the souls of the dead. Osiris was the god of the underworld, and the cat-headed goddess Bastet was considered the protector of the home and family. Cats were generally revered as sacred animals in Egypt. Killing a cat could lead to execution. Egyptian science. Although Egypt seems ancient and primitive to us, the Egyptians were incredibly intelligent for their time. They knew mathematics, medicine, and astronomy. It was the Egyptians who created one of the first calendars. They knew how to treat fractures, perform surgeries, and even make primitive prostheses. They also invented papyrus, a writing material similar to paper. The Egyptians left mysterious symbols, hieroglyphs on the walls of temples and tombs. For a long time, no one could decipher them. Only thousands of years later were scholars able to understand the language of Egypt, thanks to the Rosetta Stone, the greatest pharaohs. One of the most famous rulers was Tutankhamun. He ascended the throne as a child and died very young. But he is famous not for his life, but for his tomb. When archaeologists discovered it in 1922, they found a huge amount of gold and treasure inside. It became one of the greatest finds in history. After the tomb's discovery, a legend arose about the curse of the pharaohs. Several people involved in the excavations died under strange circumstances. Many believed it was the revenge of ancient spirits. Another great ruler was Ramses II the Mighty, warrior and builder of gigantic temples. And then there was Cleopatra, the last queen of Egypt. She was renowned not only for her beauty, but also for her incredible intelligence. Cleopatra spoke several languages and knew how to manage people. Wars and the fall of Egypt. Despite its greatness, Egypt could not remain invincible forever. The country was attacked by various peoples, Assyrians, Persians, and Greeks. Egypt was later conquered by the famous general Alexander the Great. After his death, power passed to the Greek dynasty, and then came Rome. After Cleopatra's death, Egypt finally became part of the Roman Empire. Thus ended the era of the pharaohs, which had lasted for thousands of years, a lost civilization. Over time, the ancient temples were covered in sand, the cities crumbled, and the Egyptian language was forgotten. For centuries, people gazed at the pyramids and wondered who built them or why. It wasn't until the 19th century that archaeologists began to gradually uncover the secrets of Egypt. And the more discoveries they made, the more enigmatic this civilization became. How exactly were the pyramids built? Are there hidden chambers inside the Sphinx? Did the Egyptians have lost technologies? Many questions remain unanswered. Egypt's legacy. But even after thousands of years, Egypt continues to influence the world. The pyramids remain one of the 7 wonders of the world. Films, books, and games return again and again to the theme of pharaohs, mummies, and ancient curses. And perhaps this is precisely the main secret of Egypt. This civilization has long since disappeared, but humanity still cannot stop marveling at it. As long as the pyramids stand, the history of ancient Egypt will live on. But the most astonishing discoveries about Egypt may yet lie ahead. Just recently, scientists began using special scanners to study pyramids without excavations. And inside the Great Pyramid of Giza, they discovered enormous voids and hidden chambers whose existence no one knew existed before. This has once again given rise to dozens of theories, secret chambers of the pharaohs, hidden treasures, or unknown passages. And yet, the sheer length of Egypt's existence is astonishing. For us, ancient Egypt is a single entity, but in reality, more time passed between the construction of the first pyramids and the time of Cleopatra than between Cleopatra and our modern world. In other words, for Cleopatra herself, the pyramids were already ancient history. This is precisely why Egypt seems almost unreal. This civilization survived thousands of years, hundreds of rulers, wars, droughts, and conquests, yet still left behind a mark that cannot be erased. And when people today look at the enormous pyramids in the desert, many still ask the same question: how did a civilization that existed thousands of years ago create something that has outlived almost all of humanity?